Hey guys, welcome back. This is Triptych, and it's been a very long time since I've recorded any videos. I'm just getting ready. I'm actually going to be leaving soon. I will be going to a place where I'm not exactly available to do more commentaries for a little while. And before I leave, I wanted to get a working version of Triptych's mod up with all of the tooltips, hotkeys, and AI files working. So in preparation for that, I just wanted to do a quick tutorial for you guys. I'm going to be working on the Klingon AI today, and I wanted to show you this process. And I'm going from the beginning, but I am going to go kind of fast because you guys can pause this video and watch it over as much as you like. So, first up, I have already opened up my ISO file so I can start up Fleet Ops and start games without needing anything else. I'm going to show you the files that I open up for modding. First thing I always go is FPQ edit, which will get me my original files. These are all the original ODS of the game. And I just leave that sucker over there. Yeah, that's good. Then I go mods, Triptych's mod. This is the current version I'm working on, ODS system. Leave that over there. And this will allow me, if I need to, I can go in here, I can modify any file, bring it up, etc., etc. I run Programs Notepad for this because it's a lot lighter weight. And then when I need something, when I find something that's not here, like, oh, I need a file, I can go over here and you go extract to, and I've left it as the default. Oh, normally I do. So I would just extract it and then it would pop up over here and then I can modify the file. And basically the way Fleet Ops works is if the file is over here in the mod, it will overwrite what's in here. If it's not in the mod, it will just use the default file. So every file that's over here will suppress the file with the equivalent one that's in the original archive. So, however, the file that we're looking at today is, there's a couple more key files we're going to look at. That is the dynamic localized strings, which is your tooltips. There is the tech tree file, which is all of your tech requirements. There is, if I was doing it, there's the GUI global and system images. GUI global is your build buttons and special ability buttons. System images is your little buttons, the little green weapon icons and such. And let's see, input map is your hotkeys, which I've been doing a lot of work on in Triptych's map. Info.ni is just your display information for the mod. And the one we're working on today, which is the AIPs, and it's these 5 files. So we're going to open up Klingon Empire, and we're actually going to save off a copy of that. I have a mechanical keyboard and my mic is very sensitive, so you'll hear a lot of that too. Oops. So we are going to have our original next to the one that I'm modifying. And I'm going to do this step by step because that way I can observe it in action. And there's going to be, it's a very long process. I don't think I'm going to record the entire thing. But I'm going to show you some basics. So for setting up the game, I just go Fleet Operations. This is my current test build. Instant action. We're going to set up, I guess we'll start on dual today. I prefer testing on my other map, Twin Snakes, because it has a bit weirder map or moon placement, and I actually like to see the AI tested for different moon placements. But we don't need to worry about that yet. So what we're doing right now is 2 Klingons and max game speed. And I'm going to watch these guys kill each other. And I'm going to do it in window mode. So I go here, window mode. Doesn't need that much. We'll try this. I don't know if it's going to be enough for me though to see around it. Yeah, that's not that bad because I can still see the AI build list over here. We can shave this down a little like that. Every little bit counts. Like I said, if you guys are watching this video, then you have access to the ability to... Oh shoot, I'm going to have to use arrow keys. There we go. You guys have access to see everything and fast forward or slow down however you want. Jump to spots, watch things over. Okay, so this is AI Merciless and it's accelerated time. So it's building pretty fast, and you can already see it's got these yards. The Klingon yards build automatically. All of the extensions, and it's building a scout. We've got miners. It's going for the expansion. It's going with 2 constructors. And let's watch what happens here. Nothing. The reason that happened is because the AI has been instructed to build 2 mining stations here in the exact same spot. And this is a bug. This is the kind of thing that I've been optimizing and fixing. And over here we've got some burrows coming out. It should be about ready to do, yeah, Kadoosh from the home base. There's weapon fatigue, and you'll notice these are probably going to go pretty similar speed to each other, because they're in relatively mirrored positions, and the build list is the same for the 2 of them. So once that finishes, we've got another Kadoosh, we've got Cavort. Oh, we've got a bunch of stuff going. That looks like 2 Cavorts, 1 Quebec, and 2 Veklerogs. And you'll also notice up here, the AI is getting infinite supply, and its resources, I mean, these are merciless AI, so they're getting very massive discounts. So basically, they are never, ever going to run out of money. And by watching this video, you're going to get a lot of insight into how the AI actually works, which is going to give you some insight into beating it, which sometimes might feel a little bit unfair. So if you want fair fights against the AI, you should probably stop watching now. You're not going to see them the same after this. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and kick out of there. Yeah, we'll just kick out for now. And now we're going to take a look at the actual code for how this works. Now, let's bring up our handy-dandy guide. So, all of the difficulties of the AI use the exact same build list file. The difference is only the build time and the build cost, and as you've noticed, neither hardened AI nor merciless will ever run out of resources. So the only thing that matters is build time. In fact, I recommend always setting it on either hard or merciless. I just use merciless, and then just using there is an option to change the AI handicap for build speed. Right there, AI build time handicap. This right here will entirely determine the difficulty of your AI. Or, I mean, you could make custom modifications if you like. So, here's the deal. The AI will follow a build list, and every single line will be built before it goes to the next line, with some qualifications. There are 4 numbers involved in a line, like so. We're going to make this big, just because it's more comfortable. So, this line says, build a chore. The second number, or the first number, is which location. This is how the AI keeps track of multiple bases. And this says location 1. The way it is intended to work is location 1 is your star base and the surrounding area. Location 2 is the closest resource. Location 3 is the next closest resource, and 4 and 5 and so on. Unfortunately, this is broken. The AI does not register multiple moons properly. It will only build on tritanium moons. Very, very rarely will it build on a dilithium moon. And these numbers can be changed. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. The first number is the count of the ship. The second number is the location, but locations are still important, so we're starting there. The location number can change throughout the game. The AI is actually capable of moving locations around, which causes havoc with expanding. You're probably not going to get good expansions out of it. One moment. Pardon me, just needed to mute some Tungle people there. Now, so what this says, so the first number is the number that are going to be built. The second number is the location. The third number is the number of times it will rebuild it after it's destroyed. So for example, if you put this at 2, then it would build a chore, and then if the other person destroyed the chore, it would build another one, and then if they destroyed it again, it would stop, because it would say, I've built it twice, I'm not going to build it anymore. And there's a reason for this. If this number is high, for example, if this was a 4 and this is a 2, then it multiplies and it becomes 8. So it will keep on rebuilding until it has produced 8 Topmes, and then it will never build another one. The final number is tech level. The AI can be told to build different things at different tech levels. And as you can see, FleetOps has completely disabled this functionality. The devs have stopped using it. We're going to restore it today in a basic form. Now, here's the deal. The AI is going to build this line, and then not when it's finished, but as soon as it starts building, it's going to start building this line. And as soon as that line starts building its every last item, it's going to start on this line, and so on and so forth. As soon as a line begins construction, or as soon as a line finishes the last one. So in this case, if it's going to start building the first Topme, nothing else is going to happen. It's going to build the second one, it's going to start building the third one. When the third one finishes and it starts on the fourth Topme, it's going to start building, well, okay, it's going to go to the next line. But the next line is at the starbase right now, so it's caught. So as soon as the scout starts, it's also going to start the Quebec. The trick is, if any of these things are destroyed, the AI is going to go back. So if you could kill a bunch of these freighters, then if the AI is down here and he's building Sangs, and he notices that several of his freighters have been destroyed, he's going to go back and build more freighters. And he's not going to build anything else down here until the freighters have been rebuilt. In this way, even though killing an expansion is not going to hurt the AI for resources, it is going to hurt the AI, because they're not going to start production again until they rebuild that expansion, which is the greatest weakness of the AI, but it makes it fair, because they can build insanely amounts of things very fast. Now, the trick is, suppose you killed one Topme freighter. It goes back, it starts building the Topme freighter, but since it's begun, it can keep going down the line. So it doesn't actually stop, it doesn't pause production for the AI unless you destroy 2 Topmes, because then it hasn't started all of its things in its build list, and it will do nothing else until it finishes the Topme. So as you can see, the AI is very vulnerable to being stalled out this way, because all of this stuff, even the scout is a permanent production. So, or like a good example would be the Burrells. It's always going to have 2 Burrells on the field, no matter how long the game goes. And if you destroy those 2 Burrells, it's going to stop whatever it's doing until those 2 Burrells are built. If you destroy its field yards, both of them, then it has to rebuild the field yards. If you destroy the chore and the field yards, then it has to rebuild the constructor, then it has to rebuild the field yard, then it has to rebuild the Burrell. So, I mean, it does take it a while to recover from damage. Also, the AI does not follow any tech requirements. Its special abilities will follow tech requirements, but its units will not. Which means, we have it build the tech requirements as a politeness, because it's supposed to be emulating it. So, for example, like the Federation tech tree I worked on, it can't build anything until it gets like chassis level 2. It doesn't start building chassis level 2 ships. So I'm going to show you a couple ways that I do things, such as putting build limits on the Borels and doing tech tree things that's going to cause it to stop building these lower tier units later game. And that's one of the big ways to streamline the game. And I'm just going to do this 1 or 2 times, and then I'm going to pause the recording because I literally spent 5 or 6 hours on the Federation and the Dominion AIs. And I'm not going to record that entire thing. But I am going to give you a quick example, because I can look at this and I can say, oh, observer. Oh, right. So as I was also saying, the locations for building things are garbage. They're completely broken, and I tend to cut down on them. And I'm sorry if it's a little bit unrealistic. So what we have here, I'm going to pause this real quick. Oh, I can't select stuff. What we have here is the moment it started, it goes to build, it goes to build a chore, it goes to build 2 field yards, and then the next instruction is a mining station, so that's what it's waiting on. Unfortunately, even when you're scrolled off of window mode, it still scrolls. So you can see the chore builds. As soon as the chore builds, these guys are going to go do their mining stations. So this guy has been assigned a mining station over there. Oh, okay, this guy actually got assigned one of the field yards, and that one was assigned a mining station. So what it did was it assigned both mining stations to a single constructor. But since the constructor had those commands assigned to it, it would allow it to start on the mining station. So there's 1 mining station, and now that all 4 mining stations have been allocated to workers, it's going to go ahead and start building top maze. And it's a bit more lenient with structures than it is with units. It can assign 1 constructor to multiple structures. However, you can see here, it's going to build 4 top maze and a scout. And it's not going to build any Quebecs until that scout begins. And I'll show you that. I think that was 2. Yeah. So this is number 3. Lying fallow, doing nothing. And scout started. So there goes 1 Quebec. And we can look at this real quick. We can say, okay, there's a constructor going over here. So you can look at that and say, what the heck went on with these locations? Well, location 1 is clearly the starting Tritanium moon. Location 2 is the Tritanium moon over here. So is location 3. And location 4 is one of these 2 Tritanium moons. So that's why it's completely broken. So it's not going to build its mining stations properly. So right now we've got a Quebec and we've got a Caudouge starting. The S is the one that's buildable at the starbase. So it's going to start building a starbase one. And then once the starbase starts, it's going to build 2 Borels, and then it's going to build the field research. So you can see, you can also make it build a bit faster by mixing in buildings and units at the same time. There it goes. The Quebec started, he's going to go build a field research. Now we are waiting on these. So it says build a field research, then it wants to build the fatigue research. Well, it can't build that because the field research isn't up yet. And then as soon as it starts the heavy disruptor research, it's going to start building the cavort. As soon as it starts building the cavorts, it's going to allocate 2 cavorts. It has 2 yards that can build them, so it's going to start. It's going to do 2 Veclarogs, so they're going to start, and it's going to do a Quebec. And it's going to do a Caudouge. So it's going to start building 6 ships at once at that point. And then it's going to wait on the Borels. We can see this happen. Field research. That one finishes. That one takes a long time, so it might even stall out on... No, it's not going to stall. Because the next time it comes around, this will be done by the time the second one starts. So there you see we have instructor. This guy is stalled out, but it didn't break the game for some reason that I don't really understand. And the other thing to say is this code is really shaky and old, and like FleetOps has been modded around this code. So I think some of the modifications of Fleet Ops sort of broke little things about the code that they couldn't really figure out, which is why it's so weird. Which is why you can't just code it by changing things here. You have to keep on going back and forth over here. So you're going to see in a moment, as soon as weapon fatigue finishes, all these yards are going to start building. Boom, heavy disruptor, and everything starts. Now, our goal here is to make this AI as deadly as we possibly can. There is no cheating here. We're not going to worry about cheating. We're just going to try to make it really deadly. And then that way, let's say if the players want it easier, they can just increase the build time. Or just use a lower difficulty, which will cause it to use the build time. Or I would recommend not using medium, because on medium it will run out of resources sometimes. And you don't need it to run out of resources. You can just destroy its buildings. So now it's moving out. Now also, when you do have yards built at different locations, if you have a yard built at the expansion, and then a unit is built out of that yard, which you can give it that option. You can give it a location command on a unit. Then that unit will defend that location on the map. I am not using this instruction at all, because it's not dependable where it's going to build its expansion yards. You don't know that. Oh, hello. It's not time to expand yet. Huh, okay, so this is location 4 apparently. But location 4 was queued into the constructor that went out to build these ones, which is why it took him so long to get over there. One thing I should note is, even though the game starts with 2 constructors, the 2 starting constructors are not noticed by the AI because they're not in its build list. So if they were to die, it would not rebuild them. So killing constructors that belong to the AI is also a very powerful way to stump him, because then he only has 1 constructor and it takes him longer to build all these buildings. This is also why the first line in every AI has to be a constructor, because if you destroy all their constructors, the very first thing it has to do is rebuild a constructor. If you don't have a constructor as the very first line, then it's going to hit a field yard and it's going to say, I can't build that. If you destroy the field yard and you can destroy the constructor, it can never rebuild the field yard because it can never rebuild the constructor, and it's basically frozen. So they always have to start with the constructor. And if you're watching this, and if you're as smart as I am, you've probably already figured out several ways that you can enhance this. And you'll notice here, like, as these guys are getting killed, they're immediately rebuilding. And also because it builds in sets like this, like, 2 Burrells. If both Burrells die, it can rebuild a Burrell from 2 different yards, and it doesn't get paused. If this was 3 Burrells, and all 3 of them died, then it would pause, because it would build the 2, but it would not be able to advance in the tech tree until the 3rd one was done. So, now that we've seen this, we're going to start doing some little enhancements. Let's do, first things first. I don't want this many mining stations. I'm going to say, forget you. And I don't want all of my freighters built at the same time, because that stalls it out. So I'm going to say, we'll mix these in with the fighting ships. Also, I don't need a scout this early. I came with a scout. So, well, we'll stick this somewhere lower, because that's a direct slowdown. So we're going to build 2 top maze here, and then we're going to build 2 Quebecs, 2 Burrells, but we're not going to build a Caduce yet. So as soon as it hits this point, these are going to go. We're going to do... Oh man, this is really fast compared to the Federation. When I was doing the Federation AI, I was adding Monsoons and Intrepids. But in this AI, they're actually... It builds all these ships simultaneously, which is really scary. So maybe I'll have it build more than 2 Burrells. No, it'll be okay. We'll do this. We'll have 2 top maze here. So that way, as soon as the second top maze starts, it's going to start doing these other ships. And then we go back and run it real quick. There's a lot of sitting and watching involved with this. So you can see, since that started, these guys are still able to go. Field yard, mining station. He's going to build a mining station over here. Sometimes it does get it right, randomly, which is very nice. So that started, we should have Burrells. I should have Burrells. Why do I not get Burrells? There we go. Oh, okay, you see that? It started a Quebec, but it couldn't build a Burrell until the second field yard started, because the second field yard built the second Quebec, which opened up the Burrells for building. There we got a mining station. It actually got it right this time. Now this is going to, as soon as the second... No, wait, you should be building. Oh, it's waiting on... Why are you not building more freighters? Why are you not building more freighters? So another thing you should know about this is it randomly breaks at stupid moments for no reason. So it's not building these other freighters. It just doesn't feel like it. Freaking AI. What if I put you there? Oh, wait. So, as I said, in the beginning, all I'm really trying to do is make this thing as hyper-competitive as possible. You should be building. And then, after a little while, I start running it against AIs of other races, now that I have them, and that way I can try to make sure that they're balanced against each other. There's your Burrells. There we go. Now you're building more Tommies. Or are you? What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. So it only built 2. Well, you know what? With all the other races, I've had them stagger their freighters with their construction like this to make them run a little bit faster. I think maybe for the Klingons, they don't need that so much. Maybe I'll just leave them with 4. Because it also cheats, because they get all the free field yard extensions, which normally they would not. So technically, they're already cheating in comparison to the other AI. So we're just going to let them build their Tommies like that. But we are going to leave them down at 3 mining stations, I think. And from there, oh right, so let me show you some basic things. So, actually let me pull up the Federation AI and I'll give you, this is the one that I finished. It's beautiful. Look at how beautiful it is. So, a couple commands here. You'll notice I made it build, oh, I didn't do items too often, but like here's one, it just builds a random 2 Akuras that will never be replaced. They're just extra, like they're bumpers. So for example, if you wanted, you could put like 8 sabers with a 1 there, and it would build 8 sabers, but then it would never build them again after they're destroyed. It's just like a burst, which is more realistic if you want to see like 8 sabers, but you don't want to keep building them. Now, the way this works, they actually build a lot of sabers in this one. I think they get, okay, they only get 4, but they get a lot of these suckers. Now, the tech tree numbers, if it's a 0, it will always build and it will ignore the tech tree. If it's a positive number, it will advance the game to the next tech tree level. So building this constructor, and it's when you start building this, you enter tech level 1. When you start building this, you enter tech level 2. The negative numbers indicate when you will stop. So the Fed Saber, this one, is -1 and the negative is just a hyphen in this case, it means it will stop building this, it will replenish this infinitely until you reach tech level 2. And when you reach tech level 2, when you build the Starfleet Science, it's done building sabers. This is abusable because, for example, if you are fighting the AI and you keep blowing up every single saber they build as fast as you possibly can, then they won't build the Starfleet Science. They'll keep rebuilding sabers. But once you get that, once they start the science, in fact, once they finish this build and once they tell the constructor to go build the Starfleet Science, they have reached level 2, and they will stop building sabers and they'll go to the next level, which could be very extreme. For example, you're fighting Dominion and you don't want them to get a large yard out, kill their small stuff. Because once they get that large yard out, they're going to stop building S2 escorts and bombers, and they're just going to focus on their large ships now. Whereas the old original Fleet Ops AI would it would always build some bombers, which was a very good way to sabotage it later on, because you could you could destroy the bomber prototype, and it would like immediately stop building its large ships until it built that bomber prototype again. Well, in Triptych's mod, it doesn't do that anymore. It will eventually stop building the small ships. So, I think a lot of these Borg ships, or a lot of these Klingon ships, are going to stop. Like, we don't really need Borels anymore in the late game. I mean, I like them because of weapon. I like them because they do reveal cloak. We'll put them at -2 though. And then we're going to have the armory is going to be tech level 2, and what's fed tech level 3? The errata yard. We'll have the maybe I'll have the ordnance depot or an imperial yard. We'll do ordnance depot. No. We'll have imperial yard B3. Because keep in mind, this isn't about what we're building, it's about what we stop building. We'll say when they get an imperial yard, they're going to stop building some stuff. Probably, well, when they get an imperial yard, they'll stop building Quebecs and Borels. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them a whole bunch of these Borels, and then some of them will be like 1s. So, as soon as they get the armory up, or maybe battle yard, armory, battle yard. Either way. We'll do armory. As soon as they get the armory up, they're going to stop building this flood of Borels. But until they do, they're going to build a flood of Borels. And that's my example. Now I'm going to pause this recording, and I'm going to do a bunch of crap. And then I'll record a little bit more when I'm a bit further along, so you get to see my progress. Hey guys, I'm back for just a moment. There's one more thing I want to make a note of, and that is limiting. So suppose I want to have a cavort, and I want it right there. Well, the field research, well actually no, suppose I want it right there. You got to watch out for this, because the field research is technically the tech requirement for the cavort. So it should never have a cavort without a field research finished. However, if you build the line like this, the moment it starts building the field research, it's going to start building cavorts. And the players will look at that and they'll be like, you're not allowed to do that, that's cheating. The way you fix that is you stick that there. Because it can't build this line until the field research finishes. And then as soon as it builds it's going to start building these two lines at the exact same time. So that's how you make sure it doesn't build cavorts until the field research is finished. And I mean, I've done some of those over here too, I think. Like, here's a really good example. I think there was one earlier. No, here I was just doing it based on time. Oh, here's one. They have chassis 3 and they have weapons 1. So they have to research chassis 3, but after they research chassis 3, they have to research the weapons upgrade, which means until the weapons upgrade starts, it's not going to advance. which means you have to finish chassis 3 before you start getting novas and sovereigns in this setup. So that's just the way that you can deliberately block the AI to make sure it follows the rules. And now I'm going to do more work. Alright guys, I figured I'd just hop back in real quick. I've made a couple initial modifications out to around the point of battle yards, so I'm going to just see how this looks. It was interesting compared to some of the other races, specifically to the Dominion. I tried very hard to speed them up in the beginning, and the Federation really, because I felt like there were some deliberate slowdowns in the code. You know, there were specific lines that would make it go slower. For example, like running all 4 constructors or all 4 freighters on one line instead of spacing them out. With the Klingons, though, I'm realizing I don't know how much I want to do that. Because, like I say, the fact that a normal Klingon player is required to build these extensions on the field yard one by one after the field yard is built, the fact that it just immediately builds all of the field yards, if I tried to make this AI as fast as it possibly could be, it would outspeed the other AIs very unfairly. So some of the things I actually deliberately left in. Like I deliberately am leaving it building all 4 freighters at once. It'll still be deadly, don't worry. In fact, it's already, what? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, no, it just built them really fast because I have it on accelerated time. But yeah, it won't start building other stuff until it finishes the 3rd one. And for example, you can see in the original, it had to build all 4 freighters and then start the scout before it would do anything else. But now, as soon as it starts the 4th freighter, it will go. Oh, you can't really see this. This is what the tech tree looks like for those who are interested in browsing. So now we've got it building Borels and Quebecs early, but not building these expansion things because technically it's not allowed to build these until it gets a field research up. Technically it's not even allowed to build the Special Forces extension until the field research is up. So if you're watching the left, I'm not going to move my mouse over to the left because it'll scroll the game, but you can see it was required to build the 2nd set of Borels, to start the 2nd set of Borels before it goes for the field research. And as soon as it finishes the field research, it's going to start researching weapon fatigue, and it's going to start the next set, which is Cavorts, Caduge, and Susa. And I might add some more Quebecs in there, because honestly, Klingons do get a lot of ships. If you were facing a player, they would have a lot. Okay, they wouldn't have this kind, but you see that weapon fatigue's going, the Caduge. Oh wow, it's actually going to stall out. So I added in some sensor stations that the AI is going to build. The Federation AI does build a lot of turrets early. And I want to add some, and there it goes with 2 mining stations on your dilithium and nothing on your expansion. I'm going to see if I can tweak that a little bit, but it may just be unavoidable. And there's your scout station. Sometimes if it fails to find the location, it will just build it at your home. Oh wait, I told it to build it at the home. Never mind. So this is real-time editing. It's not going to kick into a place. I'm going to try giving that a 4. These changes don't kick into place until I correct it, but you can see I can run the game and physically see, oh crap, I did that wrong. Now you're building 2 more. Oops, those are supposed to be 1s. Oh, now we know. So once it finishes building 5 scout stations. Oh wait, these are also my scout stations, not the sensor station. In Triptych's mod I separated these 2, so one of them gives you a ton of vision while the other one actually has a sensor ping. Now we're going. Wow, now we're really cooking. Okay, so just in that second it started building a scout, it started building 2 Quebecs, 2 Cavorts, 2 Veklerogs, and research shield breaking torpedo, and then it started building the battle yard simultaneously. Yeah, that's really fast. I might build it, I might give it a deliberate slowdown on that. And the way I would do that, I could just bump one of these suckers up to 3. And that means it will not advance past this line until the first 2 Cavorts finish. That is one way to do it. I'll look into that. I'll try to figure out what a good way to do that is, because like I say, man, I have it on high speed. It's really booking. So now it's got the battle yard. As soon as it finishes the battle yard, it's instructed to build sangs and quebecs before it moves on to the armory. And then you'll notice it has to finish the sangs before it goes to chargs. As soon as it starts chargs, somebody's getting a command to build an armory, I think. Yeah, so someone should be ordered to build an armory right now. I also, later, I will test them on smaller maps, you know, where they really start fighting each other right away. Because the rate at which stuff dies, you see a bunch of stuff is dying here, that's going to cause it to have to rebuild those, which is going to slow down its development. There you go, you got an armory, but the first guy is getting an armory first. So we can look, and you can see down here, it's mirroring it pretty closely. Although he didn't lose as much stuff, so he's going to advance faster. And as soon as that armory finishes, it goes for compound torpedoes. And... oh, okay, I haven't gone past this part yet. And as you can see, this is a deliberate slowdown that the developers put in. Because as soon as it finishes the armory, it has to research all these things before it will build anything with this requirement. So if I wanted it to go faster, I could move these researches in between. Like I could have it start a couple ships and then do a research, a couple more ships, a research. But by having it do all of these researches at once, it's not going to advance to the next level of tech until they're done. So, yeah. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to start running this against the Federation AI, because I need to see if it needs this slowdown. Like I say, normally with the other AIs, I tried to make them as blitzing fast as possible with only very few slowdowns, but the Klingons feel like they might need some slowdowns involved. There's advanced Kadouj. Advanced Kadouj. Stuff dying. More stuff dying. It did get a lot of special abilities. Pretty much all the field yard special abilities have been researched now, mixed in. Advanced Kadouj still. Yeah, that's a really long time for it to be stalled out, so I'm gonna change that. Let's give it, okay, I'm gonna have to really think about how to do that. And as soon as combat tractor beam ends, it's going to start doing the polaron beam, and it's going to move on to the next sang line. I'll probably have it build some more sangs. I think there's a phase of the game when you're still getting a lot of lower level stuff. Like Quebec sang is a really good one. Now, another thing I've decided is while I split the Federation and the Dominion into 3 tech levels, I'm going to split the Klingons into 4. Just because they have a really climbing linear tech progression, and also their early game stuff just gets really bad after a while. Like you'll see here, I've got all the original Burrells, the Sousa. The Sousa's going to be -1. So as soon as it gets that armory built, it's just not going to build those anymore, because you get situations like this. Oh, maybe it didn't, where they get blown up and it has to rebuild them before it continues. Which can be an advantage or a disadvantage depending. But in this case, I feel that it isn't necessarily balanced with the other races to have this Klingon AI constantly building massive fountains of units. Or at the very least, it should be building massive quantities of sangs and quebecs and cavorts, not Sousas and Burrells. So now we're in a very large production line here. We just switched to these lines, Kadug and Charg, and we're going to get Vorches. And I am going to... what should we do? I think as soon as the armory finishes, it's going to research weapon upgrade 1. And then the Kadouj upgrades, all these can go later down. We want this up here somewhere. Maybe we'll do... Okay. As soon as the armory finishes, we'll get compound torpedoes. And what do players do? Players get Vorcha. Oh, you see there, yeah, odd numbers. So as soon as it finishes, as soon as the armory finishes, start building 2 Vorcha. And as soon as that research finishes, start on the... Okay, we'll go a little bit later with the weapons. We'll get you Kadoosh level 1. And we'll build some more Kadoosh. Did I build Kadoosh over here? I got this, the S one. No, I want some more. So we want... We want 2 Kadoosh. So we're going to get 2 Sangs, 2 Chargs, 2 Kadoosh, or Kadoosh research. Oh. And 2 Kadoosh. Oh wait. I cannot have Kadoosh research before the armory. So now we're going to get... we'll get the battle yard, we'll do some more Sangs, we'll do some Quebecs, some Chargs, some Kadoosh. Then we'll get the armory, we'll start researching the torpedoes for the Sangs, the Kadoosh upgrade, we'll get some Vorcha. Probably get some more Vorcha pretty soon, because I mean, hey, you built a lot of Vorcha. We'll do 2 more. And we'll put these at -2. The Chargs, -2. I don't need to make all these even numbers. And maybe, no. The Kadoosh can stick around forever. We'll make some of the Sangs stick around forever, and some of them only temporary. We need to add more Sangs. So as you can see, I'm ready to do more tuning now. Meanwhile, wow, they've invaded the home here, and it's getting killed. Yeah. Oh, we did get Vorcha. But I think it's going to go down here. It is playing at a very accelerated pace, and you can see here it's already expanded. Its instructions... Okay, we're going to look at this real quick. So, its instructions for the expansion in the original is to build 2 platforms at location 5 and 2 platforms at location 6. Well, it's decided that location 5 and 6 are the same place, and they're the center moon. And I guess some of them messed up because there wasn't enough space, but we've got 3 heavy weapon platforms here and 2 battle yards in 1 spot. Yeah, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. The disadvantage is having these expansions is if there's something below it, like the ordnance depot. Where was it? The Ordnance Depot is below this expansion, which means if it is not able to take this expansion, it will never build an Ordnance Depot. For example, this red AI would basically be screwed, because there's nowhere for it to expand, and since it can't expand, it cannot tech up. It physically cannot. The other thing to know about the AI is, since all of its buildings are tied back to constructors, and its constructors can build from a starbase, if the home starbase is destroyed, then it's done. It will basically run out, and it will never build anything again. As soon as it gets stuck trying to rebuild a constructor, or a scout, or a freighter, or anything, it won't be able to do it, and it won't be able to advance its tech tree. So if you do take out the starbase, then an AI player is finished. So, we're gonna exit out of that. I'm gonna do more of my own thing for a while, and then I'll show you another new and improved version. Hey guys, just back after some more testing. I think there's going to be a lot of these little cut-ins as I expand. I've been fighting it against the Federation AI a couple times. I have discovered the... Oh, is my volume down? Oh, just a little bit. I've been discovering that one of the things that there was the Federation had the Mixtech yard put in there, which the Klingon did not yet. So I've added that with the, there it is, the amazing E-Gen, which people hardly ever see. Its ability drops a scrambling drone that affects weapons and engines, I think. Let's see. Yeah, it's really nasty. Meanwhile, we have a appearance of Shadow's interceptor here. It's named after Shadow. And, oh yeah, so right, I was saying, it seemed like the AI transitioned very quickly to the battle yard, which is why I put in the Mixtech yard, which does slow it down just a little bit, but it's fine. And now I'm looking at ways to handle the expansion better, because unlike the Federation, Dominion, and even the Romulans, I feel like, okay, if you were playing the Klingons, it would be very easy to expand because you would throw down a field yard. But since the AI only gets these complete field yards, you don't want one of those at your expansion. So I felt like it made more sense for the Klingons to not expand until they had a battle yard. And I discovered that when you wait, when you have the AI do other things and then come back to it, it tends to respond a lot better. So now it's only doing 2 resource stations in the beginning, getting sensor stations at both, and then later it's expanding with a heavy weapons platform and a battle yard. And then it should have instructions to build battle yards back here as well. Okay, yeah. Unlike the other races, it's only going to get 1 mixed tech yard and not build very much mixed tech, because this race already has 3 yards, and the 4th one, there would be too many home yards. But yeah, it's still going to build 2 home battle yards and the expansion battle yard. I could have it expand twice at the same time, which I'm debating. It really depends on the flow, but this flowed very nicely. It built it very organically this time around, which is good. I'm looking for that. I might go back and even look at the other races, see if I should avoid having them build 3 or 4 mining stations right off the bat and just have them build 2. Then again, I mean, the Federation does expand very early. That's the way that they play. So, you know, I'm still exploring the details, and these AI are fighting more and more competently now. The next step is to test on very large maps where they don't get into fights very often, very early, to see if the 2 AIs tech up, because you need to test the AIs when they're fighting early, and you need to test them when they're fighting late. So, yeah, I'll just let you guys watch a little bit of fighting here before I move on. As you can see, the Federation has entered its tech phase with the science. And has it already built the Canavers? I mean the Mirandas? No, it has not. I think it's waiting on a 2nd yard. Hello there. No, it's building a torpedo platform, and the torpedo platform has blocked out the mining station. So it's not going to build a mining station. Thanks. In fact, it might even be trying to build a 2nd mixed tech yard on the same spot. That would be bad if it is. I don't think I have any way to fix that if that is the error. In which case, it won't build mixed tech. Okay, I take it back. Right now, it's more likely that it's actually just caught on ships, because ships keep on getting destroyed and it's building new ones. So I bet when it actually catches up on ship production to what's being destroyed, it will probably start advancing again. Then again, that may not happen if it keeps on fighting too much. We've already got our charge. We've got, yeah, we've got Vorcha coming out. Polaron torpedo. I haven't optimized this very well, because now there's going to be 3 battle yards pumping, so it's going to be a very deadly AI in the mid game if I allow it to build out of all of those at once. Now, according to this, the Federation reaches Akira's before it does Miranda 2's. So it looked like some Akira's died, it was rebuilding them. And once it finishes pumping out these ships, there it goes, there's the Miranda. So one of the Mixtech yards has failed to place, but it's ignored it. Okay, and this guy's actually got his storage dock. Maybe there was a repair yard that was supposed to be here that got missed. Now the Klingons are doing their second expansion, which I coded in there. And this is going to be tricky because the Federation AI is required to build 4 Miranda 2's before advancing, which if it had 2 yards would only take it 2 build, or like a single Miranda build cycle. But now it's going to take it 3 Miranda builds. Oh, there it goes. So you can see there is a bit of a delay. It does things out of order sometimes. I'm actually really glad that that fixed itself. So it's going to complete the Miranda 2 build list, and then I think it goes into Irati. There's a Miranda 2. Yeah, it gets another Newton. It gets the Irati yards and starts doing Excelsior 2's. Okay, and this part I actually haven't advanced for the Klingons yet. Once they get their battle yard and they start doing Vorcha, they are going to do... No, they're doing okay. Oh, I haven't moved these lines yet, so they're going to get 4 more Sangs. And then they're going to try to expand again. A lot. Or is that this expansion? As you can see, still work in progress. I just wanted to show you where I'm at right now and how I build it from the early game to the late game. And every single time I go later, it takes a little bit longer to get to it during my test runs. So I'll continue in a moment. Hey guys, this is Triptych. This will probably be the last one tonight. As you can tell, massive amounts of time have gone by while I've been doing this. So I've discovered some interesting things. The Klingon AI is quite overpowered. Once I started facing it against Dominion and Federation, it was winning consistently. They didn't really stand a chance. So I'm realizing I'm actually putting back a couple of the slowdown techniques that were previously on there. It just in order to balance it out against the other races. Also because once I streamlined its transition, because like the original one, let's see, it didn't build too much. Yeah, because it does the battle yard and then does the armor and then does all this research. And then it starts going into higher tech and it only builds a couple of them. And then it does its entire expansion. And it only ever builds like 3 Vorcha before it gets its full expansion. And even then, it doesn't even build more Vorcha until it has an Imperial Yard. So the old AI was kind of slow. Well, my AI, oh, that's Dominion. My AI was brutal. It got an expansion battle yard. It got 2 home yards at first. Now I've got it down to 1 home battle yard. And it's still just, well, I also, once it gets armory, it builds 6 Vorcha, which I might readjust. But the fact of having this field yard here, and not doing super fast expands, although that time it kind of fast expanded. It was supposed to be there, but oh well. Has just been causing it to really outpace the other AIs. So I'm actually going back and I'm slowing it down tiny amounts. And, oh, putting that freaking line, putting that Noak Juge there has caused it to do this weird expansion thing. So I can put that back. Anyway, I'm going to turn in for the night and finish this another day. I might record a little bit of it, just a little blurb, and add it onto this when I have the final product. But this is approaching exactly 1 hour for this video, so I think that's a good point to stop. And then I don't know if I'll do videos for the Romulan and Borg tuning, but they're going to require similar things for them. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. I hope you learned a little bit about AI programming. And this is Triptych signing off.